Okay, looking good, and we can get underway. Okay, my snow globe image will become very relevant, very kind of thematically relevant in a minute, as you'll see, in case you're wondering what on earth that's all about. So a few rankings, a bit of rankings kind of turbulence in the last few days. From what I see from a few of my own sites that have had a slap, it was kind of around the 17th and 18th, somewhere around there, around kind of Saturday, maybe a little bit on Friday as well. Google actually is saying that there is no big update, but some of that rankings turbulence kind of disputes that fact. Interestingly, not a huge amount of chatter on the SEO forums about a big update, but Friday was a big day on Moz Weathercast on rankings turbulence. I think it was up to like almost 80 degrees by their, excuse me, by their measure. So I know that a few of the guys on this call have actually had a few slaps, so I wanted to go through and give my perspective on that today. I think all up from what I've seen in Microsite Masters so far, about 10% at the moment of my tracked pages are down. Some are a little up, but most are kind of unchanged. But the interesting thing here is that the ones that have had a rankings hit and the ones that are stable have actually completely identical SEO and probably even have links from the very same blog sites, very same blogs. So one of the things we are dealing with here, and I'm going to talk about the pattern of response that normally happens, is that it's quite tricky to find a logical, discernible pattern in there. So let's just move on from there. So as I said, Google denies any update has happened. That story may change, and we don't necessarily believe what they say anyway. Last week, I think it was, I talked about the importance of having that sort of detached pay-per-click kind of mindset where you view your web properties kind of with the same dispassion as you would do like a PPC ad. So you kind of have a portfolio, instead of a portfolio of ads that you're constantly monitoring, you have a portfolio of websites. And remember, what you're really looking for is high converting content, and that content can obviously be moved to a different site, could be moved to a subdomain if that's going to work. The thing that we're always looking to build is not a portfolio of ranking websites necessarily, but a portfolio of converting content that we can move around to different websites when things like this kind of happen and you take a rankings hit. So kind of, you know, I've seen a lot of these fluctuations, even though I'm a relatively young guy, I think, seen a lot of these fluctuations over the years, and typically this is kind of the pattern that we in the SEO community go through, and I'm not in any way sort of diminishing how troubling it is to see rankings fall and income fall and that kind of thing. So I'm not putting that down at all, but this is sort of the typical cycle that we go through in the SEO community, which is firstly that Google comes along and sort of shakes up the snow globe, being rankings, and that's an obvious really clever link back to my opening image there. And we SEOs then kind of rush for answers, and we're looking for ways to possibly repair slap sites, but the problem is we've got a lot of conflicting evidence, a lot of conflicting information. So, you know, you'll have one SEO guy who's taken a hit and he's absolutely certain that it's for these reasons, when somebody else didn't get a hit and might have been doing very similar things to the first guy. So they're in a huge argument about who's right. And this kind of goes on a lot about a lot of guessing games and kind of jumping at shadows and things like that. And I think, in my view, I mean, it's a very understandable reaction, but it's not necessarily that constructive, I think. I think one of the better things to do is to kind of wait and let the dust settle, and quite often you will see a number of those rankings sort of bounce back after that original turbulence. So after all of that, inevitably SEO communities kind of despair with SEO and talk about, giving up on SEO and going over to pay-per-click perhaps. The thing is, and I know I've gone on about this a little bit before, so I will try to keep it brief, is I'm interested in PPC. Like, I really wish it would work well, and I actually have one full-time staff dedicated to gaining expertise and ramping up a lot more experiments in PPC. But at the moment, I still struggle, and there might be some PPC guys on this call who'll dispute what I'm saying here, but I still struggle to see the traffic volume that I get from SEO that I do with PPC, no matter how much I kind of plow into it. And even one of my really good ticket sites where SEMrush tells me that if I were to pay for that traffic on AdWords, excuse me, I'd be paying something in the order of $70,000 a month. And that site doesn't make $10,000 a month, so the numbers don't even add up, even if SEMrush is way out. So in principle, I'm very interested in PPC, and I don't just mean AdWords, I mean other kind of various different angles on it, but I don't necessarily see the traffic return on it. I do see some conversion return, but not the pure traffic. So the thing is, if we're aware of this sort of cycle of response to Google rankings turbulence, I think we're in a better position to sort of react in a more constructive way. I'm going to kind of give my response to a direction we should go in, I think, instead of this one. So instead of having all of that confusion and trying to figure out when there's so much conflicting evidence and sort of getting frustrated with SEO, which is understandable, and then thinking about PPC, I think we need to go in a bit of a different direction. So I think the short-term thing to do is to wait. And for me personally, what I'm doing is waiting and seeing on those slap sites. I'm still adding new sites all the time through zero content SEO. It's still working overwhelmingly well. And I think there's at least one guy on the call here who's got quite a few ZCS sites that took a hit late last week. So at the moment for me, it's waiting. I'm still continuing to build. I'm still seeing very good results. And it may be on some of those slap sites that you will find it difficult to rank for certain keywords, but other keywords will remain absolutely fine. You do get that sometimes. The other thing we can do, and this has just started to be talked about inside the training, is to try a subdomain redirect or various flavors of redirects. And I think on the whole Google is tightening up on those, and for example for something like Switchbox SEO, a better option now is probably something like Links Manager in main WP, rather than having too big a reliance on redirects. I mean, they can still work great, but I think in the longer term they've just got too big a target on them from Google. So my own plan is, apart from to kind of wait on the slap sites and keep building in the usual sort of business development way that I am, with these sort of 10% of tracked pages, if the rankings don't come back, in about a week or so, I'll be doing a lot of subdomain redirect experiments and other various flavors of that, and of course reporting what I find. Now, just to give you a quick idea, I took this screenshot earlier today, and this is the scoreboard inside my microsite masters account, which I think is, I forget the level, but we can track 5,000 keywords with this account. And what I wanted to kind of show here is just the day-to-day volatility, and this is pretty typical of what I see on any given day. And in fact, I don't even bother with the scoreboard function usually in microsite masters, but you can see we've got plus and minus movements, and interestingly, these are on different keywords on the same site in some cases. So we've got, if we look at the biggest increases, like we've got keyword rankings that jumped by like 59, 47. Actually, maybe my pen can work this week. Let's hope. So over here, yep, there we go. We can see we've got all these pretty big jumps here. 47, 42, 39, etc. But at the same time, we've got all these crazy falls over here. Whoops, There's all my art classes gone to waste. Actually, I didn't do any, that was the problem. Like we've got 52 full, dropped 37 places and things like that, day-to-day volatility. And you can see that I wouldn't want to live my life day-to-day watching that scoreboard and stressing out about the falls and high-fiving everybody over the rises, because it is kind of fairly volatile across the board. Now I know I'm tracking a load of keywords here, and a lot of these are probably very minor keywords that might have very, very small search volume. But the point is that I know it's not easy, but don't get too hung up on those kind of rankings fluctuations, and that's where having a more, a bigger portfolio of sites that you can draw traffic to. No, it's not easy, and you need resources to do that, but that's definitely where we want to work towards. Let me just erase that drawing. Okay, so moving on from there, and I know in the Q&A at the end there'll be a bunch of questions, and we will get to those, but I've got a ton of other things to share first, so I'll race through those and stay as long as need be on Q&A at the end. So just a reminder, on the forum, the member, now a moderator with the username Zen, that's Gary, is doing some additional coupon code research for us and has found some really interesting stuff, and that will get shared in the coming week, possibly a lot more on it in the next webinar. But it's one that we haven't given up on. There's a ton of search volume in there, often quite easy to rank for, but there are very specific conditions and ways that you have to go about it, because on the whole retailers don't like it, but there are kind of holes in the system that we can take advantage of. So just a bit of a foreshadowing what's coming up there. Also, just a quick note that excuse me, the linked sitemap of everything on SEO Traffic Hacks has now been finished. So it's at the very, very top. In fact, let me just go there very quickly and just show it in action. So it's all here, and the girls here are checking on it, keeping it updated. So it's probably a lot easier to find things here than maybe you would do on just the normal forum, which actually is going to go through a few cosmetic changes this week, by the way. It'll look even better rather than that default Envision Power Board. So that sitemap has kind of been more or less completed in terms of the link map part of it, but I want to actually add more explanation to it. A couple of quick highlights this week. This is a podcast interview with Clay Collins, who you might know as the founder of Lead Pages. Leadpages.net is sort of a software company that specializes in optimizing conversions with opt-ins and webinar registrations and things like that. And in that podcast, Clay talks about how he's taken his staff from 3 or 4 from a year or 2 ago to currently 55 at the moment. Really interesting podcast. If you can go to James Schramko's site at superfastbusiness.com. I'll leave a link below this webinar recording as well where you can check it out. And the other thing to have a look at is a podcast. These are like about 10 to 15 minutes, is Conversion Cast, which uses a different case study each week, and they just focus on how conversions were increased, little tweaks and changes they made. So, you know, that company is obviously very conversion focused, and if you've seen, I think it's in Killer Hacks, the page of mine, that Lead Pages page on my blog, which at its peak has converted like 70% opt-in success, and I think at the moment it's about 54%. So, you know, their conversion stuff really works, and that's very quick to access. You know, 10 to 15 minutes, that conversion cast with a different case study each week. At the moment, you can actually, if you can see it on my screen, you can actually find out Todd from Scrubs, his marketing success story. Okay, let's have a bit of a sideways shift here. This is kind of an interesting offer, hopefully, that I want to make, but I need to just give a quick bit of backstory. So a couple of months ago, a guy came to me who was kind of one of my past SEO services users, and he sort of told me a common story that I'm sure you can relate to. Within a certain tech-related sub-niche, he had a great online business. He was doing up to 100 sales a day. Everything was great. And then one day he got slammed by Google, and he had everything kind of tied up in one site, basically. And what happened to this guy was that his cash cow site had got slapped, and his income went from being great, and he had staff and everything, to literally zero overnight. So it was a huge kind of convulsion to his business. It's a common story, I know. Now, when I actually looked into his business model and the sub-niche, it was one that I'd been really interested in for a long time, but I didn't quite, it was a bit of a complicated service to offer, and it wasn't easy, and that did actually keep out a lot of competitors, which I liked. So I actually made him an offer, which was that I would take over all his SEO work completely, because even though he'd been using my previous SEO services, it was obvious that SEO was not his kind of main interest, passion, business focus or whatever. I mean, there are only so many things you can focus on. So the offer I made to him was that I would take over all of his SEO work, including ranking multiple sites, particularly now using zero-content SEO test sites on page one. And currently we hold number 1 and number 2. The number 2 one kind of fluctuates between 2 and 3 for his main keywords, 2 different sites. And the plan is over time to actually take basically all of page 1 if we can, or push out as many of the weaker competitors are we there, basically just completely dominate there. So in a way, with this guy, I've basically become kind of a business partner of his. So he gets on with running the business, and my team here, under my supervision, actually do the SEO for it. So my offer today, and this definitely isn't for everybody, so please just sort of keep that in mind. There are certain conditions here. I'm open to proposals for an SEO partnerships like that with web entrepreneurs, and it's not like a normal sort of SEO agency arrangement, as you'll see in a minute. So there are certain conditions that I kind of need to apply here. Otherwise, I just, I get just hundreds and hundreds of emails about it, and then I can't do anything because I'm just stuck answering emails again. So this offer is kind of for web entrepreneurs who have had a proven successful business in the past on an online site, or it could be a suite of sites, probably in the same niche, doing at least something like 10,000 plus a month, and it was penalized, and they've not been able to recover fully or recover at all. That's kind of my main parameters there, conditions there. Now, my side of the partnership is to handle literally everything on SEO, all of the SEO work, including domain buying for all of the zero-content SEO testing, multiple sites, and I can bring literally hundreds and plus probably in the thousands now of high-quality links to those sites, and the partner could just get on with running the business properly, optimizing the site, things like that, but I do all of the SEO. So unlike an SEO agency, I don't charge anything for that, but instead I'm looking for a 25% share of profits on the business paid to me monthly. So it's a lot lower than kind of like affiliate commission. The partnership will be contracted. Either of us can leave at any time with 30 days notice, but please be aware the links are on sites owned by me, so the rankings, unless that partner has access to other PBNs or other SEO resources, those links will probably be gone. So my interest here, again, unlike an SEO agency, despite what they may say, is actually in seriously growing your business, and I'm not interested in just one spot on page 1 for your main keywords. I'm interested in pretty much all of them and ranking for a lot of different keywords, basically everything possible in that niche. So it's in my interest to grow your business by ranking more and more sites higher across more keywords. Obviously, the more I help the business grow, the more profit I can receive, at the other end. The partner will handle all of the business admin, the site setups, including if we have multiple site content, that's the partner's responsibility. My area is in the SEO, or the SEO area. We need to look at the financials together and profit share paid monthly. So if that sounds, if you think you've got a web business like that, please, you can email me at private@terrykyle.net. That's private, Private, at terrykyle.net. Or you can just send me a private message inside the training, inside SEO Traffic Hacks, and I'll get to that as quick as I can. So just describe the niche, the income, the SEO journey that the site has been on, stuff like that. Okay, moving on. Got a lot to get through here, so rushing through. One of the things that came up during the week in the training was that I didn't have an area focused on getting from page 1 up to number 1, and it's weird because I'm pretty sure I used to have that on SEO Experts Academy, and probably even trainings before that. So just one of those stupid omissions in the chaos of creating everything else. So basically, let's assume that we've got a zero content SEO site. It's hit the middle or lower down on page 1, but basically that's all it's going to get from that initial hit of 50 or even 100 sites, 100 PBN blog links. So what do we do to get it up towards number 1? Well, these might be a bit obvious, but I'll just run through them pretty quickly. Obviously, we can apply more private blog network links. Now, for the conservative, I recommend something like 1 to 2 links a day. For me personally, on my own portfolio, we do more like 5 to 10 a day, so we're a bit more aggressive. But also for us, it's easier to recover from a slap, and we can get up more sites just because we have more resources. There's the killer hacks area. Inside the training, there's a whole bunch of extra little add-on techniques that you can use as well. I won't go through them all now because there are a load of them in there. You can also have a look where the very top sites in your niche are renting links, if they are, and consider approaching those link rental sources, to get links from there as well. That can be a really fast, neat kind of boost as well. Let me just check something very quickly in the settings here. Okay. Also, we've got the zero content SEO losers that we can either use Main WP's Links Manager extension as well. It's pretty good, Main WP, and remember that Muffins has written up a very, very detailed tutorial with lots of pictures and everything on exactly how to use Links Manager. So I'll put that link again below this video, but well worth a look, and that's a good alternative as well to 301s. It does give you fast control, not perfect, but not bad either, control over your links. Also, this is something that's funny. Sometimes when I talk to other SEO guys, it's one of those things they overlook, and I suggest it and they sort of go, oh, of course, it's really obvious. If you have a look at your whole portfolio, wherever you're doing your rank tracking, it doesn't matter, and look at all those sites of yours that are ranking well, and I mean, what are their source links, and can you get other links on those sites to these new ones that you want them to rank? You might already have access to a bunch of good link sources that you've kind of forgotten about because that project was from 2012 or whatever. So really go back through your portfolio and just have a look at any link sources you might use. Little things you can do if you haven't already got some kind of silo structure going on your site. A mono silo may give a little bit of benefit, but probably the more likely outcome is that you're going to see inner pages ranking for some long tails without links themselves. But it doesn't matter really where the traffic comes from, if it's to your home page or an inner page. And the other option as well is resurrection SEO, which has been covered in a previous webinar, and there's a big section on it in the training. So if you're more cautious, that's a good way to go. If you're worried about competitors spying on you potentially, things like that. You can work on some resurrection SEO. It's not fast and it's fiddly and there is some work involved in it, but it's kind of a safer way to go. And by the way, I'll also go and add a section on that in the training and just make that a bit more developed, a bit more going on there. Okay, so last week I had talked about this exactly here. So what I'd seen was if you didn't have any other links and your only links to 5 test sites in exactly the same niche came from the exact same PBNs, the results we saw here were that didn't work as anywhere near as well as if you could split up your links to come from different sources, different blogs in a PBN. You might get a little bit of traction, but overall what we saw here is it wasn't really as good. So one option I talked about last week was if you are a bit stretched on resources and your PBN doesn't have enough to support like 50 different sites to each of your test sites, or you can't afford or don't have access to other PBNs and things like that. One option I talked about here was to split up your PBN into groups of 10. So for one test site you might have 10 links to it, or 25 rather than 50. Well, during the week we did some testing, so to put my money where my mouth is, here is actually, we did exactly that. So we had 50 site runs to a bunch of other jobs, but we also specifically tested 10s and 25s. So these were, so when I say 10s and 25, different 10 and different 25 PBN site going to different test domains. And I actually chose a weaker keywords that were much easier to rank in. And we can see here from this microsite masters page where we've got these 25 post jobs run. They'll run on the 15th, so it's about 4 to 5 days ago. Some will run on the 14th. And really, we only got traction, kind of impressive traction with one of those 10 sites. All of the 10 poster ones did absolutely nothing, could not get any movement whatsoever. And only one out of the 25. We've got one there that got into got number 40, but that's not really strong enough to get us too excited. Just one of those, the 25 posts. And in this particular case, these were all going to different niches, so but weak kind of keywords. And that winner there, so the number 11 ranking was for a term that gets 390 searches a month. Let's get the pen out again. We can see here. We've got a position 12 for 1600, position 13 for 6600. That's actually pretty good and quite promising. So that one was not too bad on that 25, but overall, if I can just go back, I need to turn off my pen, don't I, to do that? Get rid of that. So, whoops. Overall, to me, that's kind of a disappointing result to see this big area here where we've got pretty much nothing happening. To me, that's quite a disappointing result compared with a lot of other, almost every other zero content test that I've run there. So, conclusions. Doing those 10 post PBNs, are you going to get the, excuse me, are you going to get the movement? Probably not. It really is going to need more gas to see some movement. At least 25s by the look of it, and even with 25s, you may not get. You may get one winner possibly that you can work on, but could be quite a tough ask there. I don't know why we sort of settled on those 50s a while back, but that just still seems to be a real sweet spot that works well. Just going with those 50 posts straight out. Obviously, if you can afford that or got the resources to do that. Okay, moving on to some other results here, and I think when I had a quick look at the attendees on the webinar today, I think Chad is actually on this call, so welcome Chad, and I'm sure you'll chime in with any extra thoughts at the end here. So I think just to give you a little bit of backstory on this one here, so Chad is obviously a member in the training, and he had set up, in this particular case, we're talking about 3 new sites in the ticket niche. And here we're focusing on a particular band, tour. I'm not giving too much away by saying that because there are loads of them on Ticket Network. So what had happened, just to give you a bit of context, I think originally Chad ran his own PBN. I can't recall the size of it, but Chad will, he might actually chime in and just let me know how big that was. I'll leave the question box open there. So Chad, if you're here, you might just enlighten us on how many posts your original PBN run kind of was at these sites. He didn't see any results, so I came in and I said, okay, we'll try it on one of my PBNs. So we ran it there, and this was run on May 8th, and I took this result snapshot this morning. So you can see this has survived that Google turbulence. Google turbulence from late last week. Okay, Chad has said 25 sites, but they were all PR5 plus, then 25 more PR1 to PR3. Thank you, Chad. That's great. And I think, is it correct, Chad, you just didn't get any impact whatsoever? You just didn't see any rankings? Yep, okay, so there was absolutely nothing from that. And bear in mind, the PBN that I'm using here, just like I've done on all the others, they're PR2 to PR4 for all of them. And I think what we might need to do, Chad, is just privately by PM, we'll just compare notes on your PBN setup, because there could be something in there that kind of needs correcting. We just need to have a look at the configuration of it. So basically we ran these, I think there it was on the 8th of May, and surprisingly in this particular one we kind of got all 3 of them similar-ish, but one of them is performing kind of better than the others, obviously. So that was I think the point of showing that is that not all PBNs are kind of created alike, and I'm not doing that to gloat or boast at all. It just shows that if something isn't right in the setup of your PBN, you know, the rankings results just won't be there. So from the winner of those, this was the best performer, I think, of those. I think when I had a quick glance at this afternoon, the rankings were actually a bit better. Might have gone up, but we can see we've got some page 2 rankings there. Probably the best is 3600 down here, you know, coming onto page 2. In a way, Chad now has got the choice of whether he wants to build out all 3, which is definitely an option, but more work, or just focus on building up one of those and possibly sending the links from the others to that one. Could be a 3 or 1 there. So that was the first of his sites. Let me just kill my pen there. And then we've got the second site. So position 23 for 3600. Yeah. So kind of not as strong as the previous one. And then site 3. Same story, so position 20, about 3600. So in a funny way, that particular result disproves the random rankings factor, because we had these 3 sites with basically the same type of link, same rough PO quality of links, going to 3 empty sites, and they've gotten 3 sort of very similar rankings outcomes. Now normally, you know, we might be able to say, well, random rankings factor is all nonsense or whatever, but usually it doesn't happen like that, and across lots and lots of these tests, the results are hugely different between the sites. But this is one, maybe that's the randomness of it finally caught up, and now it all even. So interesting result there. Moving on from that quick test, Chad has also added, on the strongest result, it showed the next day. So after the posting, it was within 24 hours, Chad, we were getting some rankings movement. I think that's what you mean there. Yep. And the others took 3 to 5 days to get the same results, so the strongest did it in less than 2 days. So, woohoo, random ranking factor rocks on. Thank you, Chad, appreciate that. So, back to our PR0 PBN test. So again, if you've missed it, one of the problems we have in setting up PBNs is buying age domains with PageRank. And this is actually using a completely different approach, which is to buy domains that have expired, that have been de-indexed, but they actually have good trust flow and they have a good number of referring domains in Majestic SEO. So those metrics are all still available for de-indexed domains. You can still get Majestic, Ahrefs, and Moz results for them, but you can't get PageRank because they've been de-indexed. So these test networks here actually completely ignore PageRank, and they have literally no toolbar PageRank, but they do have these other good metrics going for them. So in this particular case, this was a brand name term, and it wasn't directly like a coupon code term. It was more like a sub-brand of a bigger brand that I think coupon code could work for. So let me just use hypothetically something like Macy's shoes, for example, rather than Macy's coupon code. So you can see at the top there we've got the big brand name volume of the 1.2 million going in. Only did okay or weekly there with 45, but top of page 2 for a 74,000 search term there. So bear in mind these domains have no page rank, so this is using a completely different kind of approach here, and we've got position 13, whoops, that's really bad drawing, for 2,700, that's the best of them there. Down here we've got 23 for 3,600, 27 for 2,400 term. They're pretty good result, very good result actually I think on that one. Let me just turn my pen off. So I'm always running different tests like this just to sort of confirm. So this is actually a really hard niche to describe without giving it away, so I'm just going to call it a lifestyle niche. Again, exactly the same kind of sites. These are zero content test sites. There's no monosilo. There's just a one page on the home page with the title of the main keyword. So here we've got probably the best result is the page 2 here for 1900, page 22nd for 1600 term. But I can see enough traction there to give me a good indicator that's a winner and definitely well worth pushing harder as well. Okay, what else do we have with the PR0? So this is actually, I didn't want to just take you through endless pages of microsite masters results because they're kind of pretty similar. So this is an older one this is an interesting one. It's one I'd reported before. So this is an earlier PR0 PBN test. It's in a jewelry niche. And the interesting thing here is that on the 10th of May, I basically converted the site to a flat HTML page with a giant web page of jewelry on Amazon. So I just stuck it up there, and what I was most interested in was to see if the rankings tanked. Now, there's a lot of debate about whether Google hates Amazon affiliate links. In my personal experience with sites, I've found that they were a negative effect, and Google didn't like those, and I found them a struggle. However, on another test we've done inside the training, and I think on an Amazon, on a YouTube video, no negative impact whatsoever. And here, interestingly, so far, I mean, we're at the 19th today, this change was done on the 10th, and remember, this is getting right through the turbulence on Friday or Saturday last week, so just the other side of the weekend, have not seen any negative impact from that Amazon affiliate link, which is not cloaked or anything, it's just raw Amazon affiliate link straight up. So we can see here the best of these results kind of holding up. We've got position 6th here for a 22,000 search term, and yeah, a bunch of page 2 ones there as well. So not bad. I'm not categorically saying that Amazon affiliate links can't hurt your rankings, because I have had that experience, but Again, maybe it's a random rankings element. I don't know. Seems funny. So that's just the microsite graph of its progress. So probably, I'm guessing back here on May 9th, might have been, I can't recall when this site was actually created, but it's probably not too far from it. You can see when those links are added almost instantly onto page 1. Bit of turbulence there on the 16th, but actually went up on the 17th and hovering around that number 5, number 6 position as well on that one. So can't see any negative impact from that Amazon affiliate link at all. Okay, moving on to the next result. This is very new, actually. I've been talking to a guy here, but it's not really going that well, to be honest. But I was recently sent a message just a few days ago from a member on the training, and his username is Mr. Pete. I think his real name is Gunter. So he's messaged me that he's actually been developing software to mass kind of find these PR0 but good quality domains that are available. So now, according to Mr. Pete or Gunter, the information that he provides is that domains come with all of the Moz information and Majestic data, and with the anchor text of the top links, which is pretty useful. So you can instantly know whether you really want to go for that. Now, this is so new, and I really haven't talked to him that much or sorted out anything. But if you send a message to Mr. Pete, and I'll leave a link below this video, and just ask about what he has available, and we haven't even got to the point of pricing. Typically, the way this works is that you pay a price for the information about the domain, and once you pay the amount, he would then give you the domain name. You go and do a couple of final checks and just go and register at any domain company. Just keep in mind, Traffic Planet hosting, super cheap domains. Even people writing about it today, how cheap our domains are, kind of across a lot of different domain extensions. So if you're interested in building a much lower price PR0 PBN, that's definitely a way you can do it, and a good option. So it's PM Mr. Pete there, and tell him I sent you. Okay, and here's another one. We've had a lot of hassles with these Spanish and German tests, to be honest. Particularly Spanish hosting companies, absolute nightmare to deal with. Finally got around to doing a decent German zero-content SEO test. This was run on the 16th, I think. It's a pretty busy week last week, this particular test. So haven't seen anything. We've got one of the domains has gotten up to 87 so far, and basically what's happening on this particular test is that these are spun English language posts that are relevant to the keyword, but the actual keyword's in German. So it's a German link sitting in an English page, but there are actually quite a few negatives against this test. So we need to sort of unpack it and remove a few of these negatives and run more tests. But the biggest ones are, that's kind of probably a bit soon to tell, but usually you'll get one of them kind of flies out of the gate. As Chad saw there, like within 24 hours, he's seeing just one of those sites flying up. Not seeing that here. I wanted to play around with this, hosting it actually in Holland or the Netherlands. And the reason for that is I wanted to explore this idea that your domain extension determines where Google will rank your site for. So we do this quite a bit here with Italian domains. So .it domains, for example, we host here in Bulgaria just on like a spare machine in the office. But they rank perfectly well in Italy because they've got that .it extension. So I was really interested to see if these .de German domains would actually rank in Germany even though they were hosted in Holland, just on the strength of their domain extension. And normally what I've recommended over the years is to host in the country where you want to rank for. And even though, you know, in Google Webmaster Tools, if you even want to let that into your website, which I don't recommend anymore, you can tell Google where your site should rank for. So even if you had a .it and you wanted to rank it in New Zealand, for example, theoretically you can just go into Google Webmaster Tools, just tell Google that that .it domain should be ranked for New Zealand. Now, that's the kind of the public line. What I've seen in my practice is that doesn't work anywhere near as well as actually hosting the site in the country that you want to rank for. So here I was kind of looking for a different option, a third way, if you like, and that was just through, just seeing if that domain extension was enough to get it there. Because I don't think you see much, for example, of like .co.uk domains ranking in the US. Maybe you do for a few terms, kind of, but on the whole, probably not too much. Though you do see .coms ranking in the UK. So that one is kind of more of a wait and see, and we'll just kind of keep working in it. I mean, if we can fine-tune that recipe and get it right with spun English language posts on our normal PBNs ranking for non-English terms really well, if we just get that, put the jigsaw pieces together, that just opens up so many opportunities. And I don't know if you've noticed in ClickBank now, but they do seem to have more and more non-English language products for sale there. So I think, in Spanish and things like that, they've got more and more of those coming. So, SEO Traffic Hacks is all about identifying and opening up new opportunities. And hopefully, if we can master that one and get it right, that will be just a huge new pool of opportunities as well. Okay, I think before we can just get on to some important questions and things, I just wanted to kind of leave you with that corny SEO thought of the week. And the idea of having an SEO thought of the week is pretty corny, I acknowledge that, but this actual idea could be really powerful for you. And this is the concept. All of the time, every day and night, every week, huge amounts of money are getting spent online across thousands of niches, maybe more. I don't know if it's tens of thousands, however many it is. So whether you or I are intercepting some of that traffic or not, that money still gets spent. Whether we have websites trying to intercept some of that traffic and that money being spent, intercepting some of that traffic, the money will still get spent. So we may as well intercept some of that money, and hopefully, all of these ideas in SEO Traffic Hacks are giving you the means and mechanics to actually do that. But every day, week, month, more and more businesses, if there are any left offline, are looking to go online, and obviously they reach out to a huge customer base, depending on the niche. And we, using SEO and these tactics, we may as well intercept and get in the middle of that and use that knowledge to drive traffic and obviously increase our income. So that is my SEO thought for the week. So just wanted to leave a bit of time here at the end today for a healthy, robust Q&A section. So let's have a look at some questions. Maybe I've actually answered them all in the webinar. Okay, let's see. Jeremiah, thank you. I'd appreciate that. I'll definitely follow that up. Let me just come down here. Chris has asked more on the first page to number 1. For the additional PBN links, are you using more unique keywords from the original Google Keyword Planner list? Are you using your main keyword multiple times? I tend to just look at any that we didn't use before that still have the main keyword in there. So for example, let's say that I was trying to rank a tickets page for something like Rolling Stones tour tickets, for example. I might have noticed, Chris, that Rolling Stone tour tickets 2014 only gets 70 searches a month, but Rolling Stone tour tickets gets 3,000 a month. But I've already used it. So I still want to mix it up and not necessarily just keep repeating those anchors over and over. I think you can, but I think the safer option is just to try to sort of double dip, if I can put it that way, and just find those other keywords that we didn't hit the first time around, where there's a kind of a nice, believable sort of overlap with a higher traffic term that we've already used. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay, Jeremias has also added, he's got a .es, that's the Spanish extension site, that's ranking on the first page of Yahoo and Bing, hosted in the US. I cannot get it to rank in Google. I'm pretty sure there's an algo penalty for that domain. Only linking has been GSA links lately. Would be, I mean, I don't know how important that site is to you, Jeremias, but if you don't mind exposing it to a bit of damage, like I don't know if it's a good earner for you or not, just see what happens if you add it into Google Webmaster Tools and say that it should rank there. It'd be an interesting test, and if you can report it back. Les has asked, any data on how .biz sites rank, especially in the UK? I haven't tried .biz specifically, Les, but so far out of the domain extensions I've tried, which hasn't been a lot, I've had the best results with .coms. I can't speak about .uk specifically, but what I will say, Les, is we'll do a zero content SEO test for the webinar, not next webinar, but the following one. We'll do a batch of some 5-pack testing on .biz in the UK and see if we can get it to rank and come back to you with the results. You might need to just nag me a bit via email or message just to remind me on that, but I'd love to find that out as well. Steve has asked, should I keep waiting on these tank sites or throw more links at them? I would wait, Steve. I would just hold on and wait and just see what's coming, what would come back. Okay, interesting. Jeremiah has said it's already in Google Webmaster Tools, but still won't rank in Google. So there you are. Tony has said .biz has ranked beautifully for him in the US. There you go, interesting. But we'll try it. We'll do UK hosting, Les, and just try it out there as well. Let's see. Now, Zen has asked, we know who that is, we can use the same PBN on different inner pages of the same money site. Yes, I do that all the time. I try as much as possible not to link the same blog to the same page, money site page, more than once, and maybe that's could be a bit too cautious, but that has worked well. But if it's a different inner page, absolutely do that. We do that every day of the week. Abdul has asked, apart from PR WordPress releases, are there any others which can be ranked in Google UK? I don't have personal experience with that, Abdul, because I don't try to rank PR WordPress releases in the UK. But if you open that question up in the training, other people, there are quite a few UK guys in SEO Traffic Hacks, they might have some help on that one. Paul has asked, those questions are flying in now. Paul has asked, to rank one page for many keywords, only use anchor text for terms with search volume. Max number of times use top search terms as anchor text. There's a short answer and a long answer here, Paul, so I will try to keep it brief. And I'm still working on my updated keyword research guide because it's very, very detailed, but it's coming, working on it. When I come along and do keyword research, so let's say in the examples that I use in the guide that'll be published and readable shortly, I talk about a couple of search terms. One is on save marriage and one is on learn Spanish. So if you put either of those terms into the Google Keyword Planner, it will actually hide a lot of good terms from you. So in save marriage, for example, it won't show you terms unless they're buried way down at the bottom of the list. But it won't show you a whole group of keywords around couples therapy, relationship counseling. These are very different words, but actually perfectly relevant for that niche. So one of the ways that I use to find it is I take the top couple of URLs of the top ranking site for my main keyword, for example, like save marriage, and I put them into Google Keyword Planner. So it's not a keyword search anymore, it's a URL kind of relevant keyword search, if I can put it like that. And all of a sudden now, Google Keyword Planner is going to show you all these other really good terms. And what you can also find is quite often on Learn Spanish, I think Rosetta Stone Spanish has higher search volume. It's branded search, which is even better generally. Has higher search. Rosetta Stone Spanish has higher search volume than Learn Spanish, which is amazing to me. But if you just put in Learn Spanish into Google Keyword Planner, you don't see that Rosetta Stone Spanish. You've got to do like URL search, and in the case of Spanish, there are even good local terms if you do more kind of sideways digging. So after you've got those different banks, those different pools of keywords, so for save marriage is kind of one pool of keywords, and then couples therapy is another pool of keywords. And after that you may have some local or possibly even branded, although I don't think so in save marriage case, but obviously with Spanish you've got Rosetta Stone. So you kind of mash together in Excel these different lists, and you kind of pick out from that the keywords that you want to use, and they are search terms, but they're search terms across different pools of keywords. And the thing is, if I just stuck to the save marriage anchor text for all of my links, I would probably never rank for those other pools of keywords, but it's funny how just a few of those, so in my save marriage backlinking, I just have thrown in a bunch, could be like 5 or 10 keywords from couples therapy, ones that have good search volume. So yes, that is a really important factor. So I throw in 5 to 10 from couples therapy, I throw in 5 to 10 from relationship counseling, might throw in 5 to 10 from something else. And then what I see is I can rank in those other pools, but if I didn't show Google I was relevant for that with some anchor text from those other pools, it just wouldn't rank for them. I think I've mentioned in a previous webinar that kind of one of Google's big dirty secrets still in SEO is how manipulatable, it's kind of not a real word, manipulable, whatever, Google is just through anchor text is still incredibly powerful. But obviously you don't want to just keep slamming them with the same anchor text, because that's kind of pretty old school. So yes, use search volume to judge it, but also try to bring in those other pools of keywords, because you'll find you'll just rank for tons of things if you've got some anchor text links there. I think I gave you the long version there, Paul. Sorry about that. Jeremias. Okay, good stuff. Yes, Jeremias has kindly offered to donate his Spanish domain. Sounds good. Francis has asked, Terry, I've been trying to rank a .com site in Australia and have been stuck on page 2, can't get to page 1. I don't live in Australia, so couldn't buy a .au domain. .com.au is actually quite difficult. There are all these restrictions. Am I wasting my time with this domain? It may not be that, Francis. What it may be, it could be, if you've read much on this, it could be more about random ranking factor at work there, and I would be definitely running some ZCS sites at it. I assume that you're actually hosting it there. I mean, it's already got some traction on page 2 there. I probably also need to hear what you've done SEO-wise and whether it's had some powerful PBN links thrown at it. It could just be a matter of that. It could just be the type of links you've been using are just not strong enough. So if you want to PM me in the training or send an email to support@terrykyle.net, probably the PM is the better option, because my mailbox at the moment is like completely melted from overexposure. Yeah, PM is better, Francis. So just tell me, give me a bit of a brief kind of bullet point SEO history of what you've done so far and what, and I'll see from there if there's an opportunity to do anything from there. Okay, Paul has asked, given that .coms perform better, what are your thoughts about having .NET or .org in your PBN on the assumption they have relevant background checks? Absolutely fine, and we have plenty of those kinds of sites, Paul. And in fact, in the PR0s, we have a lot of .eu domains, and also now we're researching and getting some Austrian ones and some Belgian ones and some Canadian ones, which are a real hassle to buy, a lot of restrictions there, because they have great backlink profiles. So definitely you can do that, and in my own PBNs we have plenty of .NETs and .orgs, absolutely fine. Okay, Paul, a different Paul, not the previous Paul, has asked maximum number of times to use the top search terms as anchor text. I keep it really low. And if you recall my earlier answer there, Paul, I try to actually, any time I kept using it, I would try to just roll it into another search term so that I wasn't just belting that same old anchor text over and over. So I would keep it very, very low. But it should still be there. You know, still have it in there, but it can be part of a longer, long tail. That's kind of a bit repetitive, but yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Wow. Okay, guys, so thank you for coming today, and hopefully I've covered everyone's questions there. As soon as this recording has been rendered by GoToWebinar, I'll upload it onto the training, and I'll come back tomorrow and put the links on. So thank you for your contributions, really valuable. Please follow up with me, because I get a ton of PMs and emails, and it's kind of like, I don't mean this in too negative a way, but it's a bit like standing in front of a fire hose of emails sometimes. So. But do follow up with PMs, and I will try to get to you as soon as I can. If I don't, please just PM again. I won't think you're rude. I'll just get to you sooner. Thank you all, and have a great day wherever you are, and see you on the next webinar. Thank you.